Graduate. No matter which road you choose, no matter how long it may seem, let your heart be your guide along the way. If you want to fulfill your dreams, no matter the detours, the roadblocks, or dark nights, continue your heart's desire. Lift up your torch, and don't be afraid to set the world on fire. You are the light of a new day. Shine for all to see. Carry your knowledge from this day forward. Blaze a trail for history. No one will ever be quite like you. Remember this important truth. We all have a purpose in this life, and it begins in our youth. Who you are now and who you will become is determined by your soul. And with your dreams in your heart to lead the way, you can conquer any goal. Congratulations.
I am Richard Selke, a graduating senior of El Toro. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that high school would be the great experience it is today. My first year of high school did not start on the first day of the school year. My first year started over the summer, when I joined the El Toro High School marching band. It was there that I found the largest groups of friends I ever had. Marching band was the most meaningful part of my high school experience. Had I not joined marching band, or even the other music ensembles, then my experience would be completely different, in a negative sort of way. Before school started, we had our first August band camp. It was filled with memorable moments, both good, bad, weird, funny, you name it. We spent hours exercising, practicing music, and then during lunch hours, my friends and I would spend time at Flame Broiler, talking about music and having some wholesome moments together. Then, after a week of band camp, we would spend the day together at the beach. Band was always so welcoming, but the thing was, that was just the beginning. The best parts were just around the corner. In the first week or so of school, we had a football game. There we played as the pep band, which we did often, almost every Friday. After the games were over, we would hang out at Denny's and have fun. Although our teams often got clapped by our opponents, no offense football players, I know you're just doing your best, we played pep tunes to hype them up and to hype ourselves up as well. But that too was just icing on the cake. Sometimes our section leaders would also host parties at their houses. These weren't necessarily the craziest of parties like what you would expect out of a high school party. After all, the movies we watched weren't stupid R-rated movie or anything like that. No, they were movies like the Lego Batman movie. The parties were incredibly chill basically, but they were wholesome and fun nonetheless. However, the most memorable of moments were the band competitions. This included the normal competitions such as the ones in Ayala High School, Trabuco Hills High School, Mission Viejo High School, etc. But my favorite competitions of all were the ones we have in Fresno every single year. I loved the competitions because while it was a time for us to show off our skills to other schools, it was also a great social opportunity. After we performed, we didn't leave right away. We sat down and watched the other bands show off their skills, which was truly impressive. Sometimes our friends from other schools would hang out with us when they were finished performing. We would eat food and chill and just relax and have fun. Now, my top 2 favorite moments in marching band, in no particular order, were the competition to Fresno and the Disneyland Parade. I love the competition in Fresno because, for one thing, it was the last competition we ever did, and so often our best performances were found there. I also loved it because we had so many bus ride memories when we were traveling up there. And then when we reached the hotel, we had our own hotel rooms and we spent the night together with our bandmates. I love the Disneyland Parade because, well, for one thing, it's Disneyland. Here's how it went basically. First, we would drive over to the park. Then we would spend the morning and early afternoon in the park, where we would go on rides and eat food and just kind of goof around. After that, sometime in the afternoon, we went into the totally top secret stage of Disneyland, So I got the honor of seeing the part of Disneyland that no one gets to see, or the Area 51 of Disneyland, as I would call it. There, we would put on our uniforms and march down Main Street. After the performance, we would spend the rest of the day at the theme park, going on rides and goofing around, like how we did earlier on. We stayed there until the park closed down, which was near midnight or something like that. We did this my freshman year and my junior year as well. But I didn't just join the marching band in high school. I joined other music ensembles as well, since, well, for one thing, that was the only requirement in order to be in the marching band. However, I also did it because it was fun in its own way. The main ensembles I joined were the wind ensemble and the jazz ensemble, where we made even more memories. Everyone I knew in band were also in either jazz or wind or both ensembles. I was actually both myself. A lot of the memorable moments in wind ensemble were in the classroom, where we played music together. Sometimes my teacher would savagely roast someone, and we would all laugh. We'd be like, "Ooh, we got you!" And sometimes I just really enjoyed rehearsing the music. But the most memorable moments in wind ensemble were the annual band festivals, which were held every year. There we performed repertoire we've worked on for months, and watched the hard work we put come into fruition. Like marching band, we also spent some time watching other bands perform. Now, in terms of jazz, like wind ensemble, most of the jazz band's memorable moments were in the classroom. One of our classmates, Christian Nielsen, a really crazy good guitarist, but also incredibly funny, would make incredibly funny jokes. Some of these jokes were so funny that it made our teacher laugh, and it made all of us laugh. And it was also sometimes funny to watch our band director roast himself. Additionally, some of our class time in jazz was spent just talking about jazz. It was a cool experience. I loved learning about the culture behind jazz and how everything in jazz is so connected. Of course, the most memorable moments in jazz were outside the classroom. One of these moments were the annual jazz festivals, which was basically like the festivals we had in wind ensemble, except for jazz bands. Another memorable moment were the basketball games, since the jazz band served as the pep band for the basketball team. Additionally, in my sophomore year, we had a big jazz gig at Pepino's, where we played for everyone in the restaurant, as well as eat some really nice and delicious pizza. In my junior year, we also had a great performance at the Lake Forest Civic Center, and I even got to do a killer solo there. Yeah, nailed it, Richie. Yeah. Another memorable moment in jazz was Jazz Day, an event hosted at Saddleback College. There we performed our music like always. After we performed, we watched other band performs, but we also had some really cool jam sessions as well. And there was just a lot of stuff to do there, like they had master classes. It was great. And then finally, to top it all off, we watched a guest artist perform for free. And these guest artists are not like, your average Joes. They're big names in the jazz world. My sophomore year, we watched the award-winning legendary trumpeter John DeVersa perform. And we even got his autograph on one of his CD records. My junior year, we watched a trumpeter named Sean Jones perform. Both of these musicians were extremely awesome. Aside from performing ourselves, we would also watch other bands perform, like big bands perform. During my sophomore year, we went to Soka University and we watched the famous Monkestra perform. Members of this group included the famous piano player, John Beasley, the famous saxophonist, Bob Shepard, and many others. I even got John Beasley's autograph and the autograph of another member. I think he was a saxophonist, but I kind of forget. Then later that same year, we went to Chapman to watch one of the most famous contemporary jazz bands out there in the contemporary world, Gordon Goodwin's Big Fat Band. This included the leader of the ensemble, Gordon Goodwin himself, as well as some other great players. To reiterate off of what I said earlier, most of my most memorable high school experiences were in the music program. However, there were a handful of memorable moments that were not in the music program. Actually, there were a lot of them, although I forgot most of them right now. This included school dances, although I didn't attend many of them until junior year, unfortunately before COVID started. This included the 2019 homecoming dance, as well as the 2020 winter formal. Both of these events were fun because my bandmates came along with me. And I actually killed on the dances, so yeah, which is kind of awesome, given the fact that I'm socially awkward and introverted in every way possible. Another memorable event this year was Field Day. As well as there was this one time during COVID, shortly after, things started lifting up and whatnot, where the band got together to perform one final football game. Well, actually, two final football games. One of which actually ended with a few of my bandmates and myself going to Denny's. Well, no, not Denny's. In-N-Out Burger, where we had food and we just had our car trunks facing each other and we just ate in the parking lot. And so that was a cool experience because it's an experience we never really got before. Another event which will probably be memorable will be graduation and grad night, although those events have not even happened yet. But I'm just anticipating that they're going to be great. Of course, none of this would have been possible without having a few great relationships. And so, my high school experience has also meant a few challenges every now and then. My senior year has been the worst experience by far in high school because of COVID. So of course you need support along the way. And the biggest support that I've gotten were my mom and my dad. Whenever I got overwhelmed by anything, not just COVID and whatnot, but by anything in general, even the pre-COVID world, I would get overwhelmed with work. I often sought their support to come up with a plan to get my homework done while still making time for band and whatnot. The types of things that I actually liked. I would go so far as to say that it is partially because of my parents that I have been able to keep my sanity during this nightmare. My dad helped me come up with a way to organize my day, and my mom offered me emotional support. Thanks to them, I was able to keep on moving regardless of what happened, be it tons of homework, stressful concert, or COVID-19. Now, for better or for worse, there have been many influences in my high school experience. For the sake of ending this idea of influences on a good note, I'm going to start with the bad influences first. First of all, COVID-19. COVID-19 was the worst thing to ever happen in my high school life. I was expecting senior year to be a really good year, but it turns out it was actually one of the most stressful years of my life. Well, it's actually a contender for the worst year of my life. It's kind of tied with my elementary school experience, which was also kind of bad. COVID took away everything I cared about, and it made me see the worst aspects of the Trump administration and the Republican Party rear their big, ugly, nasty butts right out the window. I grew extremely cynical during this time. Before COVID, I was okay if people had differing views about politics. I really couldn't care less. But then after COVID and during COVID, I noticed I became more and more bitter towards those who supported Donald Trump. And I was even tempted to think that I would be like, I'm not gonna see my uncles again because they supported the man who contributed to the rise of the very virus that stole the senior year from me. I hated the Republicans for acting so entitled to everything. And I hated them for selling their souls to that devil of a man. A man who has no regards for anyone other than his stupid self. I hated people for not wearing masks and not complying with social distancing guidelines. I felt like there was nothing more to look forward to anymore. Now that everything that gave my life meaning, including school, was gone. I felt powerless, knowing that certain things were beyond my control. I felt betrayed by my own country, betrayed by the world, betrayed by my own family, and betrayed by my own friends who supported Donald Trump. Even my own work ethic dampered as a result of this pandemic. Online school was a nightmare. I understand that the teachers did everything they could to give us a great education, but I felt like our mental and emotional needs were ignored. As such, we were dogpiled with laborious work that simply rubbed salt on our wounded souls. It was a year full of uncertainty. I never knew when things were going to end, or even how they were going to end, if they did end. I had no idea what would become of America after observing the horrifying Capitol riot on January 6th, which made it seem as though America was becoming a fascist dictatorship under Trump, like Hitler. I was terrified. It was scary. I never knew if I would even be able to get a great experience in college because the pandemic seemed to drag on for a very long time. For all I knew, it could have extended into my freshman year of college. Now, as bad as this event was, as with any great challenge, also comes an opportunity to grow. It was through this nightmare that I learned just how much I took for granted. I used to see social events as something that took time away from my work, as a sort of distraction from what I thought really mattered, which was getting good grades, going to a good school, getting a high-paying job, getting rich and whatnot. But now, I want to see my friends more than I ever did before. It was only during COVID that I also began to appreciate nature and the restorative powers it possessed, since I spent more time out there than I did prior to the pandemic. I guess when you're spending so much time inside the house, it doesn't hurt you to go outside and just enjoy the trees and whatnot. I also started to appreciate every second I did get to spend time with my friends, more than ever, because there were times in which I was able to do so, such as the football games, as I mentioned earlier. So I treasured every single little second I got to spend with them. I also spent more time doing meditation, a skill I initially learned sophomore year, and refined my practices and built them up to combat the stress that I was facing more effectively. Meditation has been an instrumental skill in dealing with pandemic anger and pandemic fatigue. And now that I know it helps me in this situation, I know it will help me in other situations down the road. Since distance learning was a nightmare to me, I had to come up with new skills to manage my time so that I can make time to do homework while also making time to do the things that helped me remain sane. I became better at organizing a schedule as a result, and that is a crucial skill that I will need for college. I also learned how to become more flexible and adaptive to a changing environment since everything constantly changes with this pandemic, almost to an extent that is annoying. And so, as a result, that is the skill I'm going to need for my entire life and in college. I also learned how to work more independently in a more efficient manner, since I could no longer rely on the certain support mechanisms I had when I was in in-person learning, such as, going to teachers and whatnot. I couldn't see them as much. I had to do things myself. I had to use my brain. So I became better at teaching myself. A major life lesson I learned during this terrible time is that I can't control everything in my life. As my dad puts it, there's 60% of your life that is in your control and is very predictable and manageable. But there's 40% of your life that is also a complete mess of uncertainty and is also way beyond your control. And the only thing you can control in that 40% is your reaction to that. And so I learned how to accept this knowledge, and I kept on going in spite of it. Another major life lesson I learned was the importance of patience. Part of the reason why people don't follow the rules or guidelines, even though it's a stupid thing, is because they're too impatient. They want to get out of this mess as soon as possible. Believe me, I do too. But you have to be patient in order to do so. Otherwise, you're just going to spread the virus, and then we're going to be stuck with this for even a longer amount of time. being impatient will not get you out of waiting for a good thing to happen. And it may even result in something even worse happening. It's because of that we were stuck in that endless time loop that felt like was going to pervade forever. It will only make you wait longer if you're not patient. Good things come to those who wait, as a wise man whose name I don't know put it. So I learned the importance of waiting, and I also became better at waiting. Another life lesson I learned is the importance of being optimistic, and how even when the world is dark and cold, there is always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, even if it is a small flicker of light. A little hope to cling on to, a little star to see in the sky. When the vaccination rate skyrocketed, it was hard to believe how pessimistic I was. Because I never thought the vaccines would be dispersed as quick as they did. Thank you, Joe Biden. I almost thought we would have to endure 2 to 4 years of this stupid virus, given the sluggish pace our nation was going at the beginning. Hence, remaining hopeful really worked, because in the end, things turned out great. Had I given up hope before, I could have actually committed suicide, and then I wouldn't be able to see into the tunnel. But I wasn't going to let this be the end. I had to keep on going until I reached the end. Lastly, I learned how to be more accepting and forgiving of others, and also just understanding. I accepted the fact that certain people of my family, like my uncles, supported Donald Trump, and I moved on from that man's presidency. I wasn't going to let that man get into my head. I wasn't going to let my pitiful grudges get in the way of anything. I really did love my uncles, and my uncles have done good things for me in the past. They have given donations to my band, to my school's fundraisers, etc. I wasn't going to let some petty grudge stand in the way. So I moved on from what happened during the Trump era. Now, Trump supporters, I'm sorry if this is hurtful or offensive. I'm just trying to express my feelings and opinions. As an American, I have that right. Of course, you have the right to lash out at me however you see fit. Just don't be so violent, right? Just say like, dude, you're stupid, or something like that. Okay, now that that's settled, it's time to move on to the more positive influences in my life. So one really positive influence in my life has been Mr. Miller, my band director. The one reason he has been so influential is that he has influenced my work ethic in a positive way. He taught me and my bandmates the importance of hard work and how it pays off, and that what you get out of anything you do is what you put into it. That is what he told us whenever we were rehearsing our music, but it's a truth that can be applied to everything in life. Additionally, he has provided me and my bandmates with every opportunity to be exposed to as much music as possible. He helped our music program raise the funds for these competitions in marching band. He helped our music program raise enough money for things like the Disneyland Parade, for the concerts, for all these awesome and amazing festivals, etc. He is also very encouraging and has helped inspire me to create my own practicing routine. And he was also the one who actually convinced me to practice with a metronome, which helped me establish a good sense of rhythm, something I initially didn't have before band, even though I've been practicing piano for 7 years. Still, it was good to have that. It made practicing way much easier. He has also influenced me to listen to all sorts of jazz out there, a music genre that I never really listened to before high school. But now I listen to it constantly. I'm like addicted to jazz, and I listen to it more than I play it. Now, the music program itself is a big influence. This is because it helped me strengthen my social skills. Before coming to high school, I was socially awkward. But after being in the band for such a long time and being exposed to all sorts of social opportunities and spending time with so many good friends, I became more confident in my ability to socialize. Additionally, since the music program took a large portion of my time, which meant I would have to spend more time doing homework and figuring out a way to manage that, I had to learn how to balance my time, and so I did. I learned how to balance my time well. It was during marching band that my time management skills skyrocketed. Because when I was in middle school, I thought, oh gosh, I have no time at all. But then I was like in high school, I was like, oh wow, what a joke. This is much more, and it's so easy to manage because I've gotten so much better at managing my time. Alright, so yeah, that was a good thing. And lastly, marching band influenced me to exercise more because it is so easier to march when you're more physically fit. That and we exercise a lot during marching band. So to all those people who think marching band is not a sport, think again.
Another influence I had in my high school life was meditation. Meditation was a skill I picked up from my chemistry teacher, Mrs. Mansfield, who was a really big fan and practitioner of meditation. I actually picked the skill up during sophomore year. During that time, I was experiencing a little stress, and so I was curious to wonder if meditation would actually work, and so I just picked it up, because I remember when I was in that class and we did a little mindfulness session, I felt really good. And so I figured, what would happen if I did it again whenever I'm angry? And so I did that. This allowed me, and it still allows me to this day, to remain more mindful and aware of what's going on in my head. This makes it easier for me to regulate my thoughts and emotions. It has become especially crucial during COVID-19, since I have used it as a way to anchor myself and remain in the present moment. Spending time sitting in meditation has also helped me to develop better patience, since it requires lots of patience, since you're sitting there for a long time, sort of not doing anything really. Another influence in my high school life has been exercise, a skill that I never really did until sophomore year. Exercise has been a crucial skill, not merely to remain physically fit, but also to remain mentally and emotionally fit as well. It is often what I do when I get extremely angry, so angry that not even meditation can calm me. It too has also been critical in helping me remain strong during this troubling pandemic. It also served as a reminder of what hard work can do, even if it is a little strenuous at the beginning, since with good exercise comes good results, as everyone knows. And so finally, after so many years of climbing this mountain known as K through 12, I have finally reached the top. So now that I'm here, what the heck am I gonna do now? One obvious thing I plan on doing is to study at UC Davis and major in mathematics. And then hopefully get a high-paying job after I graduate. What type of job? I actually don't know. But that's not the only thing I plan on doing there. I also plan on learning more things I'm passionate about, such as meditation, exercise, music, creative writing, since they have classes on clubs and all those sort of things. I also plan on joining the UC Davis marching band and using that as a way to meet new people, just like I did when I was beginning high school. I also plan on joining other music ensembles such as wind ensemble and jazz ensemble or whatever ensembles they have, because they have a lot. Now, I'm not so sure what will come after UC Davis, but I kind of have a bit of an idea. After I graduate UC Davis, I plan on getting employed into a promising career in mathematics that will pay me a lot of money. Again, I don't know what type of career. All I know is that it's going to have something to do with math, unless if I change my major. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully, I can get rich off of this, given that many jobs in the math world offer high payment. With that money, I can have food under my table, have a roof over my head, pay my taxes without falling into major debt, maybe even get a good house, like, I don't know, not really a mansion, just like a nice house by the beach or something, I don't know, maybe in a mansion, that would be nice. And maybe use it for retirement when I'm nearing old age, and so on. I also plan to use whatever money I get to finance other interests of mine, such as music and creative writing. On the side of being a mathematician of some sort, I also plan on becoming a famous author in the literary world and a famous musician in the musical world. As a musician, I wish to perform in gigs, invent a new style of music, write compositions of my own, maybe even for film arrangement of some of the books I'm writing. Get to know other musicians as well, because the music world, especially jazz, is very interconnected.
You could probably meet someone who knows somebody else, who knows somebody else, who knows somebody else, who knows someone probably really famous. And then eventually after that, I plan to make a name for myself in the music world. Now, for a long time, I've always wanted to be a novelist or a creative writer for books. But the problem with that, as well as the problem with music, is that you can't make a living off of that. You can't make a living off of writing. If you do, chances are you're gonna be in the dumps unless you have a day job. Because all those famous writers you see out there, the whole reason they're famous is because of luck and chance, both of which are things I don't want to rely on, because they're unreliable. Alrighty. But even so, even with all that, I've already written 7 books waiting to be published. And I'm writing many more that have yet to be written. Therefore, I hope to become a self-published author on Amazon Books or something like that, while I continue to pursue mathematics and music. Hopefully, my work will be read worldwide, and hopefully it will be an influence in the world. I hope to make a name for myself there as well. And through my writings, teach people the importance of respecting other people's differences while offering an entertaining journey along the way, because it's quite entertaining. I wish to become a voice of inspiration in the autism community and a voice to the neurotypical world that autism is not just some stupid meme or a group of people who are dumb or mentally ill. Rather, I wish to tell the world that autistic people are special in their own unique way, and that what they've been perceiving as a disability is just a different way of thinking. When I become a famous author, I'll publish an autobiography about my life that will have an inspiring message. Then when I'm nearing my own death, I will give whatever money I have to charity, assuming I attain the wealth that I desire. But then again, none of this might not even happen. Who knows? I might actually get a completely different path, but that's the path that I'm set on right now. So thank you for watching.